TV show host Savannah Guthrie's mother is still missing this morning, with police believing the 84-year-old Nancy Guthrie was abducted from her home in Arizona. And in breaking news just moments ago, TMZ reported they had received an unverified ransom note demanding substantial money to return the NBC anchor's mum.
We learned a lot about what the authorities do not know now. They don't know where she is. They don't have DNA evidence to indicate suspects. And they don't know if the crime is random or not. As I bring in senior national correspondent Brian Enton live in Tucson, I do want to get into this issue of ransom note, which you and I talked about last hour. Not any confirmation of a note from authorities by any stretch, but a confirmation that they're aware, Brian, that there are reports of a possible note, right?
Nancy Guthrie, the mother of Savannah Guthrie, who is the host of the Today Show on NBC. Well, today we found out that there has been ransom notes sent. Not just one, but multiple ransom notes have been sent to media outlets. I'm going to explain to you guys why these ransom notes have probably been sent to media outlets and what this means. Fugitive TV, stay tuned. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel, where we take a look at a bunch of cases, either with missing people or unsolved cases, unsolved mysteries, and we take a look at them from a different perspective, okay? Because I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I did it for 15 years before I turned myself in. So I can look at certain situations, certain cases, and certain details and see certain angles that maybe some other people don't see because they have not seen the other side of the wall or the fence before. Well, right now, what we're going to talk about is Nancy Guthrie. I did a video on her yesterday, and I was breaking down her house, her home, how easy it was probably to, get in and out of her home without being detected, the whole area and the whole neighborhood, okay? And then I also broke down the type of individual that probably, what probably happened. So just to give you a quick rundown, okay? Nancy Guthrie, who is the mother of Savannah Guthrie, all right? Savannah Guthrie hosts the show that's on NBC called Today. She's been the host there for years, okay? Savannah's face is actually known to the media. She's known, okay? Well, her mother has been missing since Saturday night. In case you didn't know, the story is everywhere. So she's been missing since Saturday night. The media came out and first they said she's missing, and then they started to say she was abducted. Well, the sheriff was coming out saying that she was abducted from her bed. Now he was backtracking, saying that he didn't mean her bed, but he was doing a lot of backtracking, okay? And I think I know why he's possibly doing this, and I'm going to tell you guys why, all right? Well, the most important evidence came out today. Even in my video yesterday, I said they found DNA. I said they found possibly blood at the house. Well, today there's no more yellow tape at her house. There's nobody investigating her house. There's no nothing. So her house is pretty much free for all. It's a free for all right now. So reporters are showing up to her house, like Brian Enton from News Nation, and he videotaped blood right there in front of the doorway. Okay.
Yeah, so we asked about it at the press conference, Connell, and the sheriff kind of dodged the question about whether there had been any demand for a ransom, basically just said that they're continuing to look into everything. Now there has been this TMZ report where TMZ is indicating that they actually received a ransom note related to the case. And the specifics they gave are that there were specific clothing information that Nancy Guthrie was wearing, and also specifics about certain things inside the house, and that there was an actual dollar amount that they were asking for. We have no idea if this is legit or just some crazy person emailing TMZ, but this is interesting, Connell. This is now out on the sheriff's office website. They say, we are aware of reports circulating about possible ransom notes regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie. We are taking all tips and leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. So again, they are not really confirming or denying whether any of these ransom claims are legit, Connell. But it's pretty disturbing when you get up to the front door of the house, Connell. You can now see blood, like a blood trail coming out of the front of the house. which is something that we're seeing for the first time now that the crime scene is cleared. We could get a little closer. And the other thing we noticed, which I had reported earlier, is that the ring. Here we go. This is the new video. Look at this closely, Connell, because this is the first time that we're seeing this. But you can see right there. See the blood? There's blood outside the front door very clearly. And then you'll notice the ring camera is also missing. And I asked the sheriff about that, and he said they're looking into it. Whether did the perpetrator pull the ring camera off when they were leaving? He said that's still under investigation.
Now, we don't know whose it is. We don't know if it's Nancy's. We don't know if it's, the person that did this to her. Now, in my last video, I explained that I didn't believe this was just a random robbery. And it's looking like that every day because I did time. I was locked up and I was in there with a bunch of individuals who have done things like this before. Okay. So you have nothing else to do but talk to them and see how their brain works. And as far as I remember and I recall, all right, any one of those individuals that was doing a home invasion, okay, one of them I shared a bunk with. The guy ended up getting 99 years. He did something like 20 something home invasions. Okay. 20 something home invasions. He was going to people's home, tying them up. Now he didn't unalive them, but he would tie them up, torture them, all kind of things, whatever, right? It's what he was doing. But he didn't take none of those people with him. He would go in there, tie them up, open the safe, whatever it is. Now, some of those people were drug dealers. It happens to drug dealers a lot. Drug dealers get robbed while they're actually inside their home a whole lot because they're an easier target, as in they don't have to worry about the drug dealer calling the police. What is a drug dealer going to do after you leave? Yeah, he stole all my drug money from the safe and my drugs and my weapons that were illegal to begin with. So half the time, a lot of these people will go after drug dealers. And that's what they'll do. All right. Well, from the get-go, I said this was targeted. This was not no random robbery. It was not. I'm sorry. I have not seen anybody from my personal experience do this and then or go to rob somebody's home and then walk off with the body. And no, you have to get out the house quick. You have to make a quick getaway. You can't have nobody with you. And because she's a witness, she sees where you're going. It's just a recipe for disaster. Why would you do all that planning to go to the house? Because there was planning that was involved in this. It was because how our house is situated. And I showed you in the last video. Why would you do all that planning just to go in a house, mess up, and then, oh, let me take her with me? No, it doesn't work that way. All right.
Stand out to you that you're able to do that, that this is not still secured as some sort of a crime scene, that they're allowing people to walk up, or that the family is now back, right, controlling the home rather than the police? And there's the blood again. Wow.
Yeah, there's the blood again. It surprised me. I mean, in other, crimes I've worked, they'll keep a whole house closed off with crime scene tape for a week while they're still investigating. And we asked the sheriff about it. He said, look, they are done processing the house. They released it to the family yesterday, and it appears right now there's no one home.
So I said from the get-go, this is targeted. We just don't know who is targeted, like why. We don't know the reason why. Well, there are some things that the sheriff said today, okay? And the sheriff, during his press conference, I realized he was dancing around a lot of questions. A lot of questions. They would ask him a question, he would kind of dance around it. He never answered the question. All right. Like one question was there anything about a ransom note or something like that? He never really responded. He never said no.
Some questions.
Sheriff, is there any indication so far as to whether this was a random abduction or targeted?
It's like I said earlier, we're looking at all the leads, and we don't know. We're going to assume both sides of that. We'll look at both sides of that.
Sure. He would give an answer like, oh, we work with the finest detectives and the FBI's, nothing to do with the actual question. There was a lot of questions that were asked to him, and he just kind of danced around the question.
Any idea what Nancy Guthrie was wearing, or the type of car that she might have left from, or any identifiable information that the public could use to help with those tips?
We do not.
Sheriff, do you believe that one or more than one person was involved in the kidnapping?
I just no clue. It could have been one. It could have been more. I don't
How
know.
many demands?
So when I was watching that, I was like, hold on. This is the stuff that police do to you when you're in their interrogation room. For example, I don't know if any of you guys watching this has ever been interrogated. Hope not. Okay. Well, I have. When I turned myself in, I was interrogated for 5 days straight. All right. Agents from everywhere was interrogating me because it was figuring out how I was lasted so long living out. I lived in different countries, different names. I did all kind of stuff. And they were wondering how I did all this. All right. So I got interrogated for about 5 days straight. And the one thing that they do is when they're asking you a question, if you come back to ask them a question, if they don't want you to know the answer to your question, they're going to dance around it. They all do this, okay? They're going to dance around it. They might ask you a question as in like, where were you September 8th? And you might say something like, well, September 8th, I was at my girlfriend's house. And then they might reply back, well, we have information that you were not at your girlfriend's house September 8th. And then you can reply back with a question like, well, how do you know? They're not going to tell you how they know. They're going to dance around the question as best as they can, dance around it. Well, this and this and that and this and that, but they're not going to answer the question. So when I heard the sheriff doing that, I was like, hold on. This is something that law enforcement does. Okay. They do. They'll dance around certain questions. Now, I understand they don't want to get certain information out to the public. I understand that, and this and that. One question was, do you know what Guthrie, Nancy's was wearing? Do you know any of that? Because think about this, people. Think about this for 1 second, people. When we have a missing person, okay, please tell me one time you've seen a missing person report, and on that poster or report, they don't mention what that person is wearing. They don't mention what that person probably could have been wearing or anything like that. Okay. Nothing whatsoever. They don't mention, Nancy, there's no mention of if she was in a certain car. There's no mention of anything. It's just that Nancy's 84 years old. That's all they're pretty much saying. Think about this, 84 years old, but they're not saying what she's wearing or nothing. Now, take it for a grain of salt. They really might not know what she's wearing, which could play a role. But still, I don't know. Now, TMZ did come out and said they got a ransom note.
So something happened here just a few minutes ago. We received an email at TMZ from somebody purporting to basically issue a ransom demand. I'm not going to read this, but the top line to it is that they are asking for money, a lot. They are asking for it in the form of Bitcoin, and they are putting an or else on this.
Right.
Now, they also say they do two things.
You don't want that number.
Right. They say two things. They say that that there is an address, a Bitcoin address that that they could send this money to, and then they give a description of something that Savannah's mother was wearing at the time of the abduction and a damaged item in the house.
Both things are clearly mentioned because they want to prove that they're legit, that
So
they have information about something that happened in the house. We
don't know.
Don't know if that is accurate.
We have called the sheriff's department. We've made multiple calls, spoken with the detective unit. We have passed on this email. We don't know whether this is legit or not. But I will say, this happens from time to time where a media outlet gets something like this. So just in due diligence, we've...
The one thing we should
has to
say...
be taken very, very seriously. Go ahead, Charles.
Yeah,
Sorry.
the one thing we should say is that we have confirmed it. At least the Bitcoin address that they've included in this email is legit.
Right. And the authorities will have to take this very seriously. This is a piece of material evidence that has been turned over. They think an abduction happened. They have found substance in the house. The detective walked back a little bit. The sheriff walked back.
I brought up ransom in my last video because I said, could a ransom note come in a day? I said, possibly. Could it come in 2 or 3 days? And I said, possibly. I brought it up in my last video yesterday. Well, TMZ got a ransom note. Supposedly, they decided to tell us before they tell the police. Now, I don't know if it's true or not, but they weren't the only ones who got a ransom note. A local media station in Tucson also got a ransom note. You know when they got the ransom note? Yesterday. They just didn't tell us. They told the sheriff, though. They told the sheriff. And the sheriff didn't tell us.
Agreed not to report on it, but today the website TMZ was also sent a copy and went public with some of the details.
You've been trying to contain this wildfire, and then TMZ comes out with this note that you have known about, that the Guthries have now seen, and it sounds like it could compromise this case to some degree.
It could. It could. I hope not.
I have saw reports that there's been multiple media outlets that have got ransom notes. I wanted to read you guys this article here. This is from BNO News, okay? It says alleged ransom notes demanding payment in Bitcoin have surfaced in the investigation into the abduction of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today's Show co-host Savannah Guthrie. TMZ reported Tuesday that it received what it described as an alleged ransom note demanding payment in Bitcoin for Guthrie's release. The outlet said the note calls for a specific cryptocurrency amount in the millions to be sent to a designated Bitcoin address. TMZ said the note includes a deadline and or else warning, adding that it verified the Bitcoin address and forwarded the material to authorities. Mary Coleman, an anchor at KOLD, the CBS affiliate in Tucson, said the station's newsroom also received what appears to be a ransom note and has provided it to law enforcement. No additional details were released. We are aware of reports circling about a possible ransom note regarding the investigation into Nancy Guthrie, the sheriff said. We are taking all tips, leads very seriously. Anything that comes in goes directly to our detectives who are coordinating with the FBI. Pima County Sheriff Nano said that in an earlier briefing on Tuesday that investigators do not yet know whether the abduction was random or targeted, or considering both possibilities. When asked whether kidnappers have made demands, Nano said investigators are working through numerous leads. Asked whether more than one person may have been involved, Nano said investigators do not know. No clue, he said. It could have been one, it could have been more. Footage recorded by News Nation from outside the home shows what appears to be a trail of blood near the front door. Investigators are also examining the apparent absence of a doorbell camera from the residence. Authorities have not said who removed it. So this is what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if a ransom note was left typed up. They're not going to handwrite it. Trust me. They're not going to handwrite it. I'll tell you why they're not going to handwrite it, but they're not going to. If a ransom note was typed up and left in the house, and they just never told us. I wonder if a ransom note was sent to one of the family members, and they just never told us. The reason why it would be typed up and not written is because you don't want DNA left on the paper. Whoever writes it, even if you're writing it with gloves, you still can risk DNA. And not only that, okay? Now your whatever hand you're writing with, left or right, that is on the letter. They have people who can prove you wrote it. But if it's typed or if it's printed out, they can't prove you printed out or typed. So I'm wondering if this whole time there was a ransom note and we just never knew. And I'm wondering if in this ransom note, was there certain demands, okay, that the sheriff had to meet, had to do in order to keep, let's say, the hope that Nancy would be not harmed or alive. I'm going to bring you guys some examples right here, okay? The one thing that dawned on me was they really didn't talk about it. I think I heard maybe a couple media sources out. Not even that. one of the neighbors down the street from her house, he said that police were asking if he had footage between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. That was a very specific time frame. Every time they asked the sheriff about this, think about it. Every time they asked the sheriff about, hey, what time are you looking for? He's like, well, I don't want to make a certain time. But the neighbors said they were looking between 1 a.m. and 4 a.m. All right. Now we find out that Nancy had a pacemaker and her pacemaker lost contact with her Apple Watch or her device around 2 a.m. So the time is adding up. What the neighbor says makes sense. All right. So the sheriff was not giving us the full details on that, which he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to. But it would help if we're looking for a missing person. Think about it. If we're looking for a missing person, it would help. I brought up the Monique and Spencer Tepe case last time. I'm bringing it up again right now. When they released that video footage of that guy walking in the alley, they said, hey, we need some ring camera footage around between this time and between this time. If you remember, they said they gave you a specific time. I think it was between like 12 and 5 or 4. I can't remember exactly the times, but they gave us a specific time. The sheriff was saying, no, we just need it between 9:30 and. So made me start thinking, well, I did a little bit of research because I do know that ransom notes have been sent to the media before. They especially have been sent to media in other countries. We just don't hear about it because it's another country. Ransoms, people get kidnapped for ransom in other countries way more than America. All right. It happens in other countries, especially South America. Now, listen to this. The first ransom kidnap that we have had on record, was Charlie Ross in 1874. They instructed the father, Christian, to communicate with them through advertisements in the Philadelphia Ledger. So the first ever person that we have on record that was held for ransom, they made the father communicate through a local newspaper in Philadelphia. The Lindbergh baby, I don't know if you guys remember this, 1932. They instructed the family to use newspaper columns to communicate. Okay, so they had to use newspaper columns to communicate. So this is not a new thing. And the reason why they do this is for leverage. It's for leverage. Who has all the leverage right now? The police or the person or people that's holding Nancy? If they send this stuff to the news media and the news media sees, oh, Nancy's holding them for ransom, now that puts pressure on the family and local law enforcement, because now us, the viewers, are now looking at law enforcement and the family like, oh, well, you going to pay them what they need so you can get your loved one back? Or you're going to sit there and watch your loved one just go? Think about it. You right now, what are you thinking in your head, knowing that you know that there's a ransom? Now you're probably thinking like, are they going to pay this ransom? So it's a tactic that individuals will use to get leverage. All right, I wanted to show you guys something. My last video, I actually went to the Google Map images, and I showed you the neighborhood that her house is in. And I showed you how it was pretty much really easy to go into that neighborhood and almost do what you want to do because there's no street lights. So the streets are super dark. There's no telephone poles. All the houses are pushed back away from the roads because they're their driveways. So even if they do have ring cameras, you can't not even see the road. Okay. Now, I'm curious. I want to see how long it would take you. What is actually the best route to leave her house? If it was me, okay, what would I do to get to the major highway? Okay, because you would want to get to the highway to get out of Dodge because you know they're going to be looking for you everywhere over here. Now, I will say, these people You never know. They could be in these mountains somewhere, just hiding out. You never know. There's mountains literally right here, okay? And just hiding out, waiting for the right time. Now, but if they're not in the mountains, you could easily get to the highway in about, well, you can get to the major street, which is First Avenue, in about 10 minutes. All right? The major highway, which would be I-10, you're probably looking at about a little over 25, something like that. You know how long it would take them to get from her house to Mexico? Not that long at all. An hour and 40 minutes to get to the Mexico borderline. All right. Now, you're probably going to ask me, well, how would they cross the border? Because, I mean, they wouldn't let her cross the border, right? I'm going to let you guys in a little secret, okay? That you probably don't know about. It's easier to cross the Mexican border and get into Mexico. Way easier it is than to cross the border to get back into the States. All right. Depending on who these people are, depending on what type of power they have, depending on the plug, depending on who they know, they can easily pay the border patrol on the Mexican side money to get through the border. Easily. Okay. I crossed the border when I was on the run. So I know if I can do it, they can do it. All right. Here's another thing too. They don't even have to cross the border through car, especially in this area. I'm going to give you guys another little secret, okay, that you might not know. Let's take the little man and now this is going to be the American side of the street, okay? Because one side is Mexico, one side is the American side, Arizona, okay? So this right here is International Street. As you see, there's a border patrol truck literally right there, right? Right there, border patrol. There's the fence. On the other side of the fence is Mexico. See this house? Now, I'm not saying this exact house, but you see that house? See the dirt? Some of these houses will have tunnels in these houses. Did you know that? Some of these homes will literally have a tunnel right there in the home. Okay? Matter of fact, it looks like a little hole right there. You see that little hole? You see that? So obviously looks like there's a place you can go underneath the house. Some of these places will literally have a tunnel underneath the house. And you see border patrols right there. These people don't care. And you might be like, where's the tunnel going from? Where's it lead to? Well, I'm going to show you. Now, I'm not saying this house has an actual tunnel. I'm not saying that. But what I'm giving you an example of is this is how a lot of things cross the border. They don't always cross by car, okay? They don't always cross swimming in the river like you see on TV and these reality TV shows. They don't always cross that way. There's a lot of tunnels. Watch this. Right on the other side of that house, let's drop the little man so you can see. Now we're on the Mexico side. Okay, that house is literally across the street, across that fence right there, okay? Here, this is a school. See, it says 2 + 2 is 4. 2 times 2 is 4. This isn't a school. There could be a tunnel right here in this school that leads to this side. That's how a lot of drugs get transported, people. A lot. I think I'm giving y'all too much information. Now, another thing I noticed is that the tip hotline number, now when you call the tip hotline number, it's an FBI number. So that right there is telling me, yeah, this note is probably legit. And not only that, she is probably not even in Arizona anymore. She could be across state line or in Mexico, just because the FBI is now involved and the FBI has way more reach than local law enforcement does. Now, whoever did this, whoever did this, I'm gonna tell you guys, this ain't their first time. This is not their first rodeo. This ain't their first yeehaw, whatever you want to call it. This is not their first time. When I did my time and there's people in there who was locked up for unaliving people because YouTube, we can't say the M word, especially when you're a smaller channel, you get flagged. But when I was locked up for people who were unaliving somebody, what are you in it for? Unalive such and such. Whatever, right? You start talking to them later on, and guess what? You find out this ain't their first time unaliving somebody. It's just the first time they got caught. You'd be surprised how many serial people that are in there just on their first charge. Even people that's in there off M-slaughter. Just their first time that they got caught. It's like somebody stealing something. They probably stole a bunch of times, but just got caught that one time. Same thing. I'm pretty sure this person is, whoever did this, well planned, well thought out. How long they've been thinking about it? I don't know. Have they done this before? I'm willing to bet a lot of money they have. Who was it before? It could have been, remember I told you earlier, drug dealers. The person who actually did it, are they the ones behind it all? I'd be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't them. I wouldn't be surprised if it was somebody else or a group of people. This person was hired through the dark web. And, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if it was more than one individual involved. Especially if for some reason they had to carry Nancy out of the house. Nancy, they said, was what, 5'2", 150 pounds. Now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but you try picking up dead weight of 150 pounds and moving it outside of a house to a car. Her home was 3,000 square feet. So we don't know exactly where her house or, you know, where her room was in that house. That's a lot of square feet to be walking with a person to the car or a vehicle. So I wouldn't be shocked if it was more than one person, if it's 2 or 3 individuals, which they don't talk about. They asked the sheriff. Remember, they asked him. They said, is it one or is it multiple? And what did he say? He said, well, it could be one, it could be multiple. They asked him about the blood on the front. What did he say? It could be blood, it could be. He danced around. He never said yes or no, but he never denied it either. So I wouldn't be shocked if it was more than one individual who did this. And I'm gonna be real, whoever is responsible for this, I know they know what they're doing because they're asking for Bitcoin. Do you guys know how Bitcoin works? Listen, when Bitcoin first came out, okay, a lot of people used Bitcoin to make underground transactions because it was harder to detect who was making these transactions. A lot of people, when they were hiring hitmen and all these type of things on the dark web, they were using Bitcoin for these transactions, not credit cards, not cash payments, not Zelle, no Cash App, none of that. It was Bitcoin. To this day, a lot of people are still using Bitcoin for underground transactions. Now, here's the thing. In that ransom letter, they did put a Bitcoin address. They said send millions of dollars to this address. Now, they never stated, I don't know if the letter states this or not, but the media never stated how much millions, if it's a million Bitcoins or how much $1,000,000. If it's millions in Bitcoins, you know how much money that is? That's a lot of money in Bitcoin. We're talking about billions of dollars and millions of Bitcoins, okay? So I'm pretty sure they probably said transfer this much million of dollars. I wonder if it's what Savannah's worth. Because I looked that up and I'm going to show you what she's worth. So I wonder if what she's worth is what they're asking for in Bitcoin, because they said it was a lot of money. So if you're curious about Savannah Guthrie's, Nancy's daughter, her net worth, Savannah Guthrie's salary is estimated to be around $8 million per year, although some sources suggest it could be higher, potentially exceeding $20 million per year, especially after recent contract negotiations following Hoda Coat, who's I believe another broadcaster, her situation. While exact figures aren't public, reports often place her earnings significantly in the multi-millions annually for her role as a co-anchor for NBC's Today Show. So it's saying that she makes anywhere from 8 to 20 million per year. So she makes, a pretty good amount of money. Now, here this says what her net worth is. It says Savannah's net worth is estimated to be at $40 million as per Celebrity Net Worth. Now, when it comes to net worth, that's not always like the liquid cash you have in your bank account. That could be your homes that you might have, vehicles. That can even mean life insurance policies if she has any businesses. So it's not always that, 40, she has 40 million in her account. It could be an add up of a bunch of other resources that she has, but we don't know. But I do know that the contract stated, or not the actual contract, but it says the contract is anywhere from 8 to 20 million per year. Now, the way it works is they said the Bitcoin address was a real address, all right? I use cryptocurrency. I have cryptocurrency. It's called a crypto wallet. I have a crypto wallet, okay? Now, I'm gonna try and break this down as easy as I can for you guys. I got like a third or fourth grader, okay? So you guys can understand how cryptocurrency work and why they would ask for Bitcoin. Like I was saying, it's harder to trace. Now, what happens is, let's say you sign up to buy Bitcoin or trade it. They're going to ask you for your information. They'll ask you for an address, or I'm sorry, not address, but email address. And then you type it in, whatever. Now your information's there. Now you got a crypto wallet. Every crypto wallet has an address, almost like an IP address that your phone would have, or your laptop would have, or your home internet, any of that, right? And if I want to, let's say, tell you to send me some Bitcoin, all I got to do is share my wallet address with you. Okay. And then you're going to send me some Bitcoin. Now, the thing is, even if I share my wallet address with you, you're still not going to know who owns that wallet address. That wallet address could be John Smith. You won't know that. All you see is a wallet address. Now, the wallet address is like a bunch of numbers and letters put together. It could be 1378856-3. That's all you'll see. But you don't know exactly who owns that 1788666-3. You don't know at all. It's almost similar to a Cash App account. So when you send somebody Cash App, if they didn't use their real email or phone number, you don't know who you're sending it to. You just know the name could be, at Smiley Face, and that's it. But you don't know who actually at Smiley Face is. Now, there is ways to figure out who owns the address. There is, all right? Depending on what type of wallet they're used, because there's different types of crypto wallets. Some crypto wallets are harder to use than others. And the ones that are harder to use, those ones are harder to get the address and who owns that. Okay. Now you're going to ask yourself, once you get the money, how do you withdraw the money and use it? Well, you can withdraw the money to your bank account. But the problem with that is now the bank account is connected to that Bitcoin transaction. Because anytime a transaction's done, okay, with Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency, it is there forever. You can look up transaction history. It does not go away. It's always there under your address. Okay. But there's ways that people could take Bitcoin, okay, and it can kind of like in a way funnel it with other people's Bitcoins because it's all digital. There's a way you can funnel it with other people's Bitcoins to where it gets mixed up with somebody else's Bitcoins, okay? And you can kind of go about a way of withdrawing it from there. And then from there, now their work is even extra hard for the police because now they're trying to figure out, dang, he mixed it up with 5 other people's Bitcoins. We got to figure out what's going. So it makes it very hard. This is why I think these people know exactly what they're doing. You don't just learn this overnight. This is something you don't learn right now. You go right now, you're trying to learn how to process Bitcoin and buy it and without getting tracked and things like that. You're not going to learn it tonight. It's going to take you a while. You go try and learn how to kidnap somebody out their house without getting caught. You're not going to learn it tonight. Somebody's done this before. And I hate to say it, but whoever's done this before could be ruthless, meaning they don't care. If they don't meet the demands, they might do some stuff. Who knows what the demands were? I'm wondering if the demands in those letters was for the sheriff to communicate through media. He had a surprise press conference today. What was it, at 1 or 2 o'clock? He didn't say nothing much. All he did was take questions. Think about it. That's all he did was take questions. And answered no questions. And I just read to you other cases of people saying you have to communicate with us, but only through media. So I'm wondering if that's what's going on here. I wonder if the person behind all this did their history like I did. Because if I could do my history on this, they could do it. I guarantee you, whoever's behind this is watching social media. I guarantee you they're watching the news. I guarantee you they are Googling their name to make sure nobody knows who they are yet, to see if their name's not getting hit. When I was on the run, I was Googling my real name. I would Google it, not from my phone. I would go to an IP. I would go somewhere else, use a blocked IP address and Google my name just to make sure. Pretty sure these people are doing the exact same thing. Blocking their IP address. That's how they sent the emails. Because now they send the email, you try to follow where the email came from, and it could be sent from New Zealand somewhere. Or it could show it was sent from New Zealand. You don't know. It's called spoofing. Somebody can call your phone and spoof the phone number. Meaning you look at it and it shows the number and you think it's your daughter calling you, but it's really not. They just spoofed you. That's what it's called. Same thing with sending emails and IP address, spoofing. There's a lot of things out there people can do. So I'm thinking whoever behind this, they know exactly what they're doing. Now, I just wanted to give you a breakdown of this, all right? From my experience and my knowledge of what I think is going on. What do I think is going to happen? I don't know. But I wouldn't be shocked if the sheriff comes out with another press conference. Because remember, he said at the end of this press conference, he said, if things change, you might see me in a couple days. This is how I'm going to do stuff from now on. So I'm wondering if whoever sent the ransom note is really controlling and running things. We don't know because none of us have seen the note. I wouldn't be shocked if notes start getting sent to content creators. I wouldn't be shocked to look at my email and I find a note. Because I don't think we're dealing with just some amateur here. I think this person knows what they're doing. And I believe they are cutthroat. I believe they will probably do what they say they're going to do. Especially if it's somebody, let's say, from the Mexican border, Mexican cartel. Those people aren't stupid. I'm not saying it's them, but I'm just giving an example. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, okay? Especially if it's your first time tuning in. If you're returning, thank you so much. You've helped this channel blow up within the last 6-7 months. All these subs have pretty much came from the last 7 months. It is crazy. And I want you guys to please take care of one another. Look out for your surroundings, all right? Be safe. This is Fugitive TV. I'll be back with an update as soon as one comes up, and I'm out.